Hey friends, welcome back to Meander Mindfully. So I've been hearing some pretty bad Airbnb horror stories lately, from hosts who cancel on guests at the very last minute, leaving them stranded, to uh, dirty places that haven't been cleaned between guests, to just um, misrepresentation and false advertisement. So I wanted to go through a few things that you can do when you are getting ready to book an Airbnb to ensure that you have a great stay. So of course, while there are no guarantees, following these tips will help you decrease the chances that you've booked a dud. Okay, so the first step is to make good use of Airbnb's advanced filters. You don't need to waste your time scrolling through listings that don't even have your must-haves. So I'd say decide what those must-haves are first, and then filter everything out right away that doesn't meet those qualifications. For example, I'm never going to book a place where I have to share a house with a stranger. So right away, I can go into these Airbnb filters and click on entire place to filter out all those shared accommodations that I know I'm not going to book. Okay, tip number 2, think about your location. So what kind of a vacation are you looking for? Are you wanting to get away from it all and relax in some quiet, remote, cozy cabin? Or are you planning to do some sightseeing around the downtown of a city? Make sure to choose a location that suits your travel goals and consider the accessibility of the house or apartment to the places that you want to visit during your vacation. If you are planning on using public transportation, take a look and see how close the nearest station is or how convenient it is to get there. Okay, tip number 3, really read the reviews. Like, really read them in depth, carefully, and pay attention to what they're saying. With the Airbnb reviews, you really need to read between the lines. People often try to be polite in their reviews, so if they mention something, it's worth paying attention to. For example, I recently booked a place in Seattle, and I noticed that the reviews mentioned that the bed was squeaky, and I thought, squeaky bed, no big deal. How bad could that be? And let me tell you, it was shockingly significant. I would not have guessed that that would be an issue, but it was the squeakiest bed I had ever slept in. So if you see that something is mentioned more than 1 or 2 times, you really need to know if you're going to be okay with that going into it. Tip number 4 is to look for places that are hosted by superhosts. So superhosts have a special designation. They have gotten high ratings. They've been really consistent. They don't do a lot of cancellation. Booking with a superhost, you're going to get a little bit more reliability than booking with someone who doesn't have that designation. They're less likely to cancel last minute, and you're more likely to have a really great stay with them. They've earned that designation for a reason. Okay, next tip is to check out those photos with a critical eye. As a former real estate broker, I know all the tips and tricks that people use to make their listings look better in photos than in real life. For example, you're going to see a lot of wide angle photography and brightness levels that are really dialed up. This is going to make the room appear much bigger in photos and much brighter in photos. So when you're looking at these photos and it looks like an absolute magazine spread, just take that with a grain of salt. It might be a little bit smaller, a little bit darker in real life. Okay, next tip. Make sure to look at the extra fees. A lot of listings look really enticing because they have a very low nightly fee. However, when you add in all the other fees, the price can quickly go even higher than a hotel. Now, Airbnb does allow you to search based on the total price, including fees, which I think is a great feature and I absolutely use. But know that even when you do that, it's not going to show the taxes included in that price. So it will still be a little bit higher at the time of booking. Also, look at the breakdown of the fees and make sure that there's nothing just completely outrageous. Next tip is to read the description carefully. Go over it with a fine-tooth comb. Make sure there's nothing really weird in the listing that is just a deal breaker to you. Make sure that you've got a reasonable check-in and check-out time, that it's not too late or too early. Make sure there aren't any strange rules that you would need to follow. Is there a list that you need to go through before you check out? Just take note of any particular rules or expectations that are out of the ordinary, that are set by the host and that you would need to abide by. And finally, when you're done with your stay, make sure you go back to the site and leave an honest review because it helps future travelers to make informed decisions. Okay, that's a wrap, guys. I hope you found these tips helpful in navigating the Airbnb booking process. If you've got any additional tips that you use for booking a fantastic Airbnb, I'd love to hear them, so drop them in the comments below, and thanks for watching.